This is going to be awesome. I can't wait to do this. Tony Ferguson, thank you so much for giving us your time. There it is. Team Ilkukui. Thank you so much for giving us your time. I know, you know, it's a fight week and it's a big fight. First time in Abu Dhabi and all the rest of that, so I appreciate you giving us this time.
No problem.
I'm not going to lie to you, man. I'm a little bit in awe actually standing here next to Ilkukui, man. We watched you win the Ultimate Fighter season 13 in 2011.
How old were you?
I'm older than you.
Oh, you're older than 40?
I'm way older than you. Yeah, man. No. I am way, way older than you.
That's pretty cool, though. You know, a lot of people, when they say that they watched me since they were, since Ultimate Fighter, it's surprising to see how many people paid attention over the years. And then when I hear that it's now, I'm like, damn, that's like how many years ago? Right? 2011 to 2024, man. Wow, that's a long time, man.
It's insane.
You're nuts.
It's insane. And we watched you win the lightweight interim title back in 2017. So, I mean, your career, very few people in the history of the UFC have managed to achieve what you've achieved for as long as you've done it. And you had one of the longest running winning streaks in the history of the lightweight division. But what a lot of people don't know is when you won the Ultimate Fighter, you won it at welterweight.
Yeah, it was, what, 14-2 with most knockouts.
Yep.
And making weight, and it was great. And then I don't know how, but somehow the idea got put in to go to 155 pounds. I'm not a naturally big guy, but what I would try to do is when I would get to 155 pounds, I would feel skinny. And I always want to be a bodybuilder. I always want to look like that, but my body's not that way.
Like me.
Like Tariq right here. But I'm going to tell you, like when you watch a lot of these movies, they say what floats more, muscle or like, you know, it's different. Muscle's going to sink when you go in there. And the same thing in a fight game. If you're not flexible and you're not able to carry your body weight a whole bunch of times, I mean, I can lift my body weight, I don't know how many times. And I had to realize that I had to put the numbers behind it. And it made more sense for me, instead of killing myself and trying to make 155 pounds where I'm losing all this energy and I'm being drained, is to wrestle my natural weight, which I won nationals in college at 165. Now I'm trying to fight back in my high school weight, which doesn't make any fucking sense. So a lot of you guys that are cutting weight to try to make, you know, lighter weight, it's not gonna go easier or harder, because if you're competing at a certain weight where you're killing yourself, I mean, you could be killing yourself making weight at your natural weight and then being stronger at that one. So I'm back at 170 pounds. I'm about maybe less than 10 pounds over right now. I feel strong as shit. You know, I mean, I'm ready for this one, dude.
So the weight cut's going to be a breeze. You're back at what is really your natural weight.
This is my natural weight. I walk around anywhere. I mean, when my clothes don't fit, I got seasonal clothes. So I have two types of seasonal clothes. I got 55, 70, and about 210.
I got 3.
Yeah, I bet. I'm gonna be real. I mean, everybody that has clothes like that, you understand, like in your kind of body, in your natural mental, is like, okay, I gotta do something different. Yeah. And then that's what ended up happening. You know, I had these 2 surgeries, and as soon as I had an elbow surgery, they removed 3 bone plates that were like the size of quarters. Dang. And I did 1,000 push-ups, like day to day to day, like 100, all the way until like my arm didn't stop hurting. And that, I think, was like the one thing that helped get me back to where I was at. It was like a flick to the back of the balls. Kind of like, hey, you're not ready for it, but sometimes it's necessary in order for you to, a slap don't work. Yeah. You know, when I got out of Goggins camp, I was mentally ready, but when you take a tree, think about this, you can take a plant and replant it anywhere and it'll be okay. But if you take a tree and you re-root a tree, sometimes it takes a second for those leaves to turn green again and to bear fruit. I went right into the Paddy fight and I was injured. I tore my ACL in my right knee, like literally a week after I got back, and it wasn't during Goggins camp. My legs were just super strong and no flexibility. Yeah. After surgery, I started stretching every single day, going from coaching my son's baseball team to now to football, all the way into where I'm at right now, and then making sure that I've got everything right. I feel phenomenal.
Those were your sports in school as well, right? You did play football and you did play baseball, didn't you?
High levels. In football, we were 28 or 27-1. We went to state finals. We won state, and then my senior year, we ended up taking second. And then in high school, it was a 3-time All-State. You know, I won state my senior year, 2-time All-American national champ, team nationals 2 times in a row. And then in baseball, we went all the way to state semis. I mean, it was always having that. Sports has always been, I've been playing sports for 35 years with no break. Yeah. Like, I don't watch this shit, I just play it.
I just play it. Are you pushing your kids the same way?
I would say I introduce it to them, and then if they want to do it, then
let them choose.
Yeah, so my oldest, he never got to see me play anything besides obviously fighting. So when I'm out there and I'm coaching, I demonstrate, and when I demonstrate obviously the hard work, it kind of reiterates into what they're doing. And I give them responsibilities instead of just kind of talking, oh, you do. No, dude, look at, you're an outside corner, nobody gets outside of you. Yeah. And I give them responsibilities, and all my guys, the Monarchs in Santa Ana, they understand the responsibilities, and these coaches come up and they say, how do you get your guys to stay on the outside? He's like, you guys are unbeatable on the outside. When you have good coaching, you can understand, you can relate to it. And I've been blessed to be able to have, I'd say I've met, Brock Lesnar and a lot of these guys that have been to the pinnacle up there. Yeah. And we were just talking about having a baseball sign. If I had an asshole person that said, you kid, I'm not going to sign you shit, I would probably be different, but I haven't had that. And so that's being able to pay it forward to where these little youngsters, you don't know where they're going to make it or break it. They're going to make it because they're instilling that seed inside their head that nothing else is going to break them. And once they have that, it helps me carry over too. Like, okay, this is what we're doing.
That's right. Unbelievable, man. And that multi-sport thing is it's rare for people to have it. So more often than not, people get into one thing and then that's it for the rest of their lives.
When you say that, right? I always thought that everybody was doing what I was doing. No, I had to realize
just so that you are aware. Nobody does what you do.
Well, that's what I mean. And so that's,
in anything.
Well, I'm going to be real. Half of the stuff that I put out there is bullshit, but when it's not bullshit and you actually get to hear me speak, it's not about being educated, it's about experiences. Yeah. And when you have the experiences, you can kind of point somebody in the right direction where not to go.
Yeah,
like, you do your own thing, you can do this, but look, I've been there, you don't want to go there, go this way. Why? Because I had the blessings to be able to meet good people to tell me, this is where you should go. You don't want to go that way, go right there. And me thinking that everybody played 3 sports, that had high level training and all this other shit, it wasn't like that. And I had to stop myself from always asking, what should I do? Rather than understand that I have the compass and I have the training to get me from point A to point B.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree more. Let me holler at you now. We talked about where you come from and where you've been, and Tony Ferguson is an absolute freaking legend in the sport. But let's be real. The last few fights haven't been exactly what you would have liked them to be. You said earlier, you haven't been sparring at all. And now it seems from everything we're hearing in the media that you've completely switched that up. What's happening?
You guys don't understand. That's the thing.
What's going on?
When it goes into competition, when it really goes into competition and not hyping anything, something will hype itself.
Yeah.
I could go and I can embellish on my speaking and do on so on and so forth, but when somebody says, Tony, you look good, or you just look different, there's an aura about somebody.
Absolutely.
And it's like a limit break on a video game. Like, you don't have to press it all the time. It's there when you need it. And that's how I feel right now. I've been to the point where I wanted to go and fight Khabib. I told my wife, and even before then, I told her, I was like, you know what, and this was about probably like 2012, I said, we have 2 ways to go about doing this. We can be complete assholes and make a fool out of ourselves, and we could probably make more money. Yeah. Or we can do it this way, which I've been doing, which is super chill. But I said, what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna show everybody exactly how I am. I'm gonna put this persona out there, and then you guys are gonna adopt it. And then when it's ready, I'm gonna flip it. When pandemic hit and Khabib left, I told my wife another thing. I told her the next chapter. I said, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna compete. And she's like, well, what do you mean? I was like, I'm gonna put myself out there. And I was like, maybe he'll take the bait. Win or lose, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put myself out there, and that way I'm gonna go and compete. I'm gonna keep athletic.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay in the media. I'm gonna keep doing all this stuff so that way I don't lose that hunger for the sport.
Absolutely.
And when that hit, my team ended up breaking up, and then I tried to pull in people to kind of fit it in there. And when a band breaks up, like AC/DC or Van Halen,
to get them back together.
It's a different sound.
Yeah.
And when you don't have that same sound, sometimes it gets frustrating. What I started doing was when I went to Goggins, right? And I didn't know about the boats. I didn't know about the logs.
Who's gonna carry the boats?
I didn't know anything about that. But I was cool enough to be able to go with this camp. And it was like kind of like with me when I didn't know my father growing up. Yeah. And every single time that I was going from Michigan to California, what I would do is I would look in the phone book and I would look for him. And I would make these phone calls, and sometimes I would get like somebody to kind of like pick up a little bit, and I would kind of have that, oh, wait, maybe this is it.
There's a lot of Padillas in the phone book.
That's not even the last name, so that's what I'm saying.
It's Ferguson Padilla, isn't it?
No, you guys don't have no clue, so that's what I'm saying. That's the biggest part, is what is put out there is not in the reality.
Right.
That is for me.
Understood.
And when it goes into like how I met, it was how I showed up for Goggins.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was gonna happen. I showed up, talked to my agents, and I was like, this is what I'm doing. Went over there, and half the time these other people, they try to barter with him. This is how many push-ups, how many are we gonna do? Or what exercises are gonna go next?
Yeah.
What's this? And he was like, get out of here. You don't belong here.
This is not a negotiation with Goggins.
I signed up before I made it into college, I signed up for the Marines, and the guy never showed up. The enlist guy never showed up. So he lost that opportunity. And when I moved from Michigan over to California, I signed up for the paratroopers. And it didn't end up working out because I ended up signing up for Cal State Bakersfield too to go and wrestle for them.
Right.
And nobody knows this. Nothing happened because I ended up meeting a guy that gave me a card that said 7-day free pass for jiu-jitsu.
And that was it?
That was it. I had no equipment on me, and I showed up, and...
That was before the 10th Planet
This
days.
is all before. This is one in 2008.
Yeah.
And this is all before everything. Before I even knew I was going to do this, long story short, a guy heard me hitting the speed bag, and the next day he's like, "Where's your equipment, son?" And I was like, "I don't have anything." I was borrowing the bucket, you know, the stuff that was in there. He's like, "Where's your gloves?" And I felt embarrassed, and I was going to walk out. He presents to me a brand new pair of gloves.
Here you go.
And that ended up kicking everything into gear. I had one amateur fight. The guy was like 20 pounds heavier than me. I broke the guy's face, literally in a couple spots. I had him up in like 20 seconds. I went home and I asked my parents, I have an opportunity to turn pro. And they said, well, if you do anything like you used to do, don't half-ass it.
Which you, obviously with wrestling, with football, with baseball, you didn't, so.
So when we did this, it was funny because they brought in, in order for me to get my pro license off of one amateur fight, they brought in this 260-pound dude. Meanwhile, in college, I'm wrestling anybody from 112 all the way up to 265.
Oh my God.
And that's every weight class. I was captain, so I had to do that. I ankle picked, I was like, you sure? I was like, this dude's bigger than me. He had tattoos all over his face, the teardrops and everything. I'm like yoked out. I said, okay, so fight or flight hit me. I ankle picked him literally in 1 second, put knee on belly, and I was like, are you sure you don't want to go big gloves? And that was a different kind of mean streak. And I haven't had that mean streak in a long time because I've been trying to press it down.
Yeah.
Because not a lot of people see me in that way. I don't like to pull that person out. But it took a long time for me to be able to harness that and to put it back into where it needs to be, and that's where I'm at today.
Unbelievable. So you brought up the wrestling, and I'll let you go on this one. You brought up the jiu-jitsu. We all know what Michael Kyiesa likes to do. It's unlikely that Michael Kyiesa is going to want to stand and bang. When I first saw the fight being announced, I'm like, this is ADDC, this is ADXC, we are in for a jiu-jitsu treat. Then I hear Tony Ferguson is out there doing 120 rounds of freaking sparring. I'm like, all right, so maybe it's not what I'm expecting it to be. What do you think is, I mean, I don't want to ask you, how does the fight go? Because that's boring.
This is mixed martial arts. I'm not here for ADCC.
Yeah.
I'm here to go in there. I'm going to outwork you. I'm going to punch you. You're going to shoot in. I'm going to choke you out. With Patty, I shouldn't have let him up. I had too many people telling me the wrong shit when I know damn well exactly that I have the compass to get to where I need to go. I have nothing against you, Michael Kyiesa, but I'm going to bring the fight to you. I'm not going to give you any time to breathe, and I hope your conditioning is really good. I know you got a fancy new camp where you're getting your strength and conditioning, but I've been all the way around in this shit, and I'm a national champ from Grand Valley State University. So if you want to wrestle, I'm right here, baby.
Unbelievable. Thank you so much, Tony. Real pleasure meeting you, my friend.